my husband Joe wasn't my soulmate.
Do angels ever play Cupid when it comes to helping us meet the right people?
Yes, and I would say to everyone, ask for the Rosemantic. That's what I call them, the Rosemantic angels. But again, angels will never overstep free will. And many a time I would meet people who would say they only want their soulmate, and they would turn love away, the person they were meant to join together with, because they would say they didn't feel that 100% of a connection. There was lacking a little something. And you have to remember that your soulmate may not be here. And if your soulmate is here, it could be a man or a woman of 100 somewhere in the world. Your soulmate doesn't mean that you will marry them, that they will come into the human world at the same time your soul came. I'm asking for the Rosemantic angels. Do you need them?
Lorna Byrne, welcome on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now in your life?
Talking to you. That's what I'm excited about. Just being in conversation with you and meeting you, even though it's online. Seeing your face and your smile and the positive and good energy about you. That's what I'm excited of this very moment, because it's this moment I'm living.
Yeah, I feel the same way with you, that beautiful energy that you radiate. And to start us off, I wanted to ask you a pretty deep question, and that is, why do the angels love and adore humanity?
And that's a beautiful question. The answer I will give you, they love us unconditionally. Your guardian angel loves you unconditionally, and all the other angels love to be in and around us as well. And that's because you have a soul, that spark of light of God. They're in the presence of God. And to me, that is incredible. And they just, they don't judge us or anything like that. Humanly, we just judge ourselves, but they don't judge us at all. They, what would I say, only see the good in us, the light in us, and I just love the way your guardian angel just never gives up on you whatsoever. That's the only way I can answer that question.
Yeah, it's a beautiful answer. And I know you've been shown many distinct futures for humanity, both the most positive ones and also the negative. I would love to tune in, because the purpose of this show is to tune us into the highest timeline for ourselves and for humanity. What have you seen regarding these positive outcomes, positive timelines and futures for humanity, and how we can start getting a little bit closer inch by inch into that timeline?
I have to smile at that, because, there's so many I have been shown that are so positive, and they all seem to start in small ways and just grow. It's like grow with inside the human being, what would I say, delve into our consciousness, delve into our own spiritual selves in that way. And I always love, the angels have taught me everything out in nature. So I know our planet has a huge part to play, and we have a huge part to play in connecting back. But I do love the way, how would I say, I have been shown so many positive futures. And one is where we all come together and we don't judge each other in any way. We pray together, we celebrate together as like one big family. But the other future, the main future, I suppose, is where, we save our planet. I know we can do it, because I have seen where we have, made this world like a little glimpse of heaven. Everything on our planet becomes pure again, becomes clean. I know we have a journey to go, and I know at the moment in the world, we fight over that. We don't want to, in one sense, to work at it, but yet, the angels or the higher beings, whatever you want to call them, are encouraging us all of the time. And so is our planet. That beautiful angel that is in the center of our planet that has to twist and turn more so now than ever before to keep life alive, and that includes us. I would just love that beautiful angel wouldn't have to twist and turn so much. But I love the way at times when I have been shown her where, how would I say, her arms, her wings, her sails go out to every corner of our planet in that way. But it's beautiful to see where we come together and we make this world like a little glimpse of heaven. Imagine if, of us doing that. I know at the moment we can't see that, because of the way the world is in chaos. But I believe and I know we can do it. And we have to all the time. The angels are always telling me, spread love and hope, compassion and peace, empathy. And again, they are all the gifts. You can name another load of them that you have, each and every one of us inside of us. They're free. You can't go into a shop and buy them. And yet, what would I say? We're crying out for them. We're wondering where they are. And I would always say, lots of people say, let's change the world. But you have to change. You have to connect spiritually back to God, back to your soul, back to the spiritual beings that are around us. And I call them angels because that's the way they have shown themselves. And they're kind and loving. And I know I have seen many negative futures, but it's like the positive futures overtake them. I would say to you, I never thought I would be here in the world for the pandemic, but we're getting through it, or I never thought in a sense that I would be here for seeing so much of the damage we have done to our planet. But yet I know sometimes when we're given a gift for free, which we have been, our planet, we mistreat it. And people would often ask, Lorna, who's the guardian angel of our planet? We have Angel Jimison is the gatekeeper of our planet. But we as human beings are the guardian angels of our planet. And we have to remember that. A lovely question. I probably answered a half dozen in that.
I loved it. We are the guardian angels of our planet. I've also heard it called, we are the stewards of this planet. And you brought up the notion of judgment, which is a very human construct. I'm interested to know and very curious is, have you received any insight from the angels about where this judgment comes from in humanity that is keeping us into maybe these negative timelines, where if we let go of that judgment, we can go into the positive outcomes that you mentioned?
Well, I believe we are going into the positive outcomes of that judgment. And I think that judgment has come from ourselves and again from humanity, in the sense of, I'd have to say, of control and power and religion. And yet religion has opened us up spiritually as well. It has negative and good within it. It's got both in that way. I I know we can go forward in such a positive way that is unbelievable to us. I call it the intertwining, of the human body, of the soul and the soul both coming together, and how we can be so, how would I say, so capable of so much more. When I look even at you on the screen here in Ireland, I know that you don't understand exactly who you are, what you are. You're not just a human being, you're a spiritual being, but because you have that soul, that spark of light, you are capable of, how would I say it, of the billion and billions of things that you think you are not capable of. You haven't the faintest idea, and it's kind of like it's a wakening up time. We are starting to wake, and I have to thank God and the angels for education, because that has played a huge part. That most people can read and write, and they can go on research, they can look into things for themselves. And I think that's a fantastic gift, because I'm severely dyslexic. I can't do that. But yet God and the angels have taught me everything I know. And I would just, what would I say? I can't wait for the day to come when you can see and hear all I see and hear. I see the angels physically, but I see so much more I don't even tell you about. I'm only starting to tell a little bit. And then when it's confirmed by science as well, that's amazing. But again, it's about seeing through the eyes of your soul, through your human eyes. And again, it's learning how to hear. And I suppose technology is, in a sense, taking a lot away from us, because you have earphones on. You're only hearing what's coming through those as such, where I myself am hearing the radio waves that are coming. I'm hearing never mind the dog outside, but I'm hearing so much more. I'm even heard a little beep there that time. I don't know if you heard it. So much more that it's sometimes I do ask God to help us not to lose, the 7 gifts that we know we have, to enhance those gifts, to enhance them so much that, you can learn how to see through the eyes of your soul, not just your human eyes, and see all that I see. And I know I'm giving as much knowledge and wisdom to the world, but in small amounts, because if I came straight forward and told you, you would say, go away. That's impossible. I have had scientists that would say to me, Lorna, if a scientist says to you that, something is impossible, then they're not a real scientist, because everything is possible. And I suppose spiritually, to think in that way, to open up ourselves more. We're more than just a human being. We are capable of the impossible. And again, it's to believe in yourself, to have the courage and to have those gifts that are free, love, compassion and hope and empathy, kindness, and I know we all have the negative ones as well, because the negative ones have been taught to us through hurt and pain. Like the world at the moment, in so many parts of the world, there's been huge amount of hurt and pain. So that makes us angry, that makes us hate, and that makes us want revenge. But yet sometimes when we're angry with someone we love, I always say, who else can you be angry with? Who else can understand you? So we have to show that love and kindness to those that are being hurt, to those that are being devastated, to show them that we do care and we do love them. And it's like reaching out a helping hand. The angels are always telling me to tell people to pray. It doesn't matter what religion you are or whether you believe or not, to pray, but not to forget to pray for the stranger. We all pray and ask for ourselves and our families, but we have to pray and ask for the stranger as well, the one who may not be able to pray for themselves. And more than likely, you're saving a life. And you don't need to know whose life you have saved. That's an incredible, powerful gift each and every one of us have. I can't even remember your question.
You're just flowing. I love it. I have heard you say that prayer can move mountains, and from every prayer that is cast out into the world, miracles follow. And I'm really curious, what is the most powerful prayer story that you've had that has created those miracles in and around your life and also moved mountains, let's say?
How can I really answer that question? Because I see it every day. I hear stories from people who say, the miracle was granted for them. That peace and that love, they felt the hope, or it was where, they made it out of something so extraordinary that, people would be shocked in that way. Prayer can move mountains, and it's like, we should be praying a little bit more. We're praying now, and we forget that we're praying now because we're talking about God and the angels. We're talking about our soul, the spiritual side of us. We're talking about love and hope and compassion, so we are asking in our prayer as we speak for the world, for the stranger, for miracles to happen for them. It's like, sometimes a parent might tell me the story that, they were praying and asking for a miracle for their child to be able to take its first step because there was something amiss, something wrong. And it's like, when they see that miracle, even if that step is a bit crooked, again, it fills that family with hope. They know they're not lost. They know that there's somebody else out there as well praying for them, even though they don't know them. You could have a mother or a father who's ill and, in a sense, maybe not getting help. The world is ignoring them. And then, you're praying for the stranger, and then a stranger, in a sense, comes along and offers a little bit of help. And I suppose that's what we do here at the sanctuary as well. We call them extreme cases. We help where we can, and again, to give hope, and again, for those miracles to unfold for people. And I always say, sometimes when you see a child or a mother or a father laugh and smile, with tears in their eyes, that's priceless. You can't pay for that when something incredible has happened for them. When they have received hope and love and that someone cares. I always remember one mother saying to me, why did you bother? Why did you help us? Because they didn't feel, which I thought was so sad, worthy of help. They felt they weren't good enough. And I was, what would you say, flabbergasted, an Irish word, that a mother could think that. That another human being could think that. And I would always say, I love you. You may be a stranger. I may not even know your name, but I love you. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or what your connections are in the world, because we judge others so much. If someone is poor or someone has done something wrong, we condemn them. We don't give them a chance, second chance, even a third chance, you know, and that's hope. You don't give up and you just let those miracles unfold.
So, what do you feel hopeful for about the next generation of leaders that are coming into the planet, the young children of today? What is that hope that you have in your heart?
Well, I suppose the hope I have in my heart, because I've already seen so many children open spiritually, young people, teenagers, not just, 8, 9 year olds, but so many teenagers and girls and boys and young, 20-year-olds as well, discovering earlier in their life about that there's more to life than what they're being told. And they're looking to grow in the way that they want to connect spiritually back to the universe, back to the planet, back to nature. And they want to, in a sense, show love and compassion. I've had quite a few young people from 15 to 20, coming here to the sanctuary. And sometimes they would say, well, I just came with my mom and dad just to support them, but then they turn around and say they have discovered so much, a world in the sense that they didn't know existed, a world that was giving them hope and helping them to look on the world in a different way, in a positive and creative way. Just so many changes. And I love the way, what would I say, the younger generation for the future that is coming up, they're more open spiritually and they want to, how would I say, they want those gifts that you cannot buy. They want to discover more of them. They want to have them. They want to use them themselves, and I love that. And I love the way they're doing their best to begin, I would say, to see through the eyes of their soul, through their human eyes. Because sometimes here, when I would point out something to help them to see something in nature that they never noticed before, or, that energy shimmering, it kind of blows them away in that sense. And they say, we don't have to look through I think you call it a microscope, to see the invisible, when you can see the invisible that is all around you anyway. That's the part I get confused a bit. Why can't you all see it? See all that stardust, all, the wind moving and the air, and, the way, how would I say, nature, every blade of grass. And again, that's one of the real positive futures, where I was watching children and children of the future, and they're kind of shocked that we had damaged so much to our planet. We had done so much wrong, and they themselves were healing the planet, healing nature. And they were fascinated with what they were learning, even with one blade of grass. Where we don't even, mankind only looks. We have forgotten how to see. And I suppose being considered retarded myself and being severely dyslexic, I wasn't educated in the human world. So I was educated by God and the angels. So school is every second of my life, even now. So if someone comes to you and says they know everything, that's impossible, because I don't know everything. I'm still been shown all that wisdom and knowledge, all the light that's around us, you know, even you sitting there in that chair, where do you think everything comes from? Just,
Source, pure potentiality,
you know,
the invisible world.
it comes from the invisible world, but it's all coming from nature. It's the invisible world within nature, the clothing you have on, your ear things you have on, you know, the mic you're talking into, you know, it's not, what would you say, a magic wand waved and it appears out of nothing. It is something. It's energy, it's life, and it all comes from our planet, from the universe as such. You know, so I have great hope for the future. I have been shown that we can do it, you know, and today when I watch young people or I meet some young people and they've so many questions to ask and they don't put up, what would you say, walls. They don't put up boundaries. They just pour out with the questions. And then when you have a young person who is, what would you say, exposed spiritually, to know that they have a guardian angel, to know a bit about the universe, to know a little bit more about God than just what is in all the holy Quran and the Bible and all the holy books. And they too are full of spirituality, you know, but sometimes we miss seeing what is there because we only look and we don't hear. We only hear what we want to hear. But I love when a young person is kind of, you know, blown away, you know, really, Lorna, do I actually have a guardian angel? Do I really have one? You know, and you would meet young people who would say, Lorna, why didn't God let you write these books before now? Because then my friend would be here, because my friend would know they had had a guardian angel with them and they weren't alone. You know, and when you hear that from young people, it's heart-rending. You know, it's like we learn in school, because I was raised a Catholic, but you learn in school about your guardian angel, but that's school, if you know what I mean. You know, it's left behind. It's not brought forward. And then when you go to bigger school and you hear of all of the horrific things that man does, you lose, in a sense, your grip on love and compassion, you know. And so many of us have been hurt. We just want to be loved. Like, love is one of the most incredible gifts that you have. That embrace, that hug, that someone saying, I care for you, I love you. You know, I'm still meeting young people that they would say they have never been hugged and they have never been told that they're loved. And to me, that is so sad. So I tell everybody in the world, no matter who you are, I don't care. I love you because I can see your guardian angel right there. So you have a soul, that spark of light of God. How could I not love you? And I love you unconditionally as well.
It
So
feels so good
I hope
to
that
hear those
answers
words.
that question.
It did. And you were talking about how a lot of these young children are coming in asking a lot of questions. What are some of those questions that you are getting from these young children? And also, you know, you talked about some of them being, do we have a guardian angel? That's a yes. But when they go deeper into their investigation, what are some questions that are arising within them?
Some of the questions would be, you know, connecting to their guardian angel. You know, they would say to me they want to really feel the presence of their guardian angel. They would have questions on that and on seeing their guardian angel. And sometimes I would say, you know, you can see your guardian angel if you want. You can ask your guardian angel. You can even ask your guardian angel to help to give you a visualization. Close your eyes for a moment, be silent and be still, and then open them. And maybe on that, I don't know whether you call it millisecond of you opening your eyes, you will see your guardian angel standing right there with you. And I would have to say, sometimes a young person would come to me and say, Lorna, I did that and I got a glimpse. I use the word glimpse, and I would say, well, have you told anyone? And they would say, no, because they would only laugh at me. But I know. And when a young person says, I know, that is so positive for them. They would have many questions, and I suppose some of the questions would be quite simple in one sense, and one of them is believing. They would turn around and say, I truly believe everything. How can I describe when a young person says that? It's like, they believe so much that they're not just flesh and blood, that they have a soul and they have a guardian angel there. So they become so open that they start to see little pieces in that sense. And they recognize every sign they're given, whether it is a physical sign or it's a sign that, a thought that comes into their mind, or it's something that someone else says to them. They recognize it quicker than everyone else in that way. It's like they have such faith, they don't doubt. But one question they do ask a lot, and sometimes even adults will ask the same question. They would tell me they don't want to ever make a mistake in listening and hearing and feeling and seeing all that guidance that they are being given by their guardian angel and that connection to their soul, because they're saying they want that intertwining. And I would say to them, well, your guardian angel will never ask you to be mean or selfish or to hurt someone or to do something wrong. If you're feeling that way or you're doing something wrong, that's the human part of you. It is not the spiritual part of you. It's not that spark of light, your soul of God. It's just the human part. And sometimes if I would say to a young person, sometimes if you're feeling hurt because someone has said something or done something, I would say, and you want to get back at them, remember that's the human part of you. And I would just say, take a breath and step back and say, it's okay. It's not me that they are hurting. It's themselves. What's wrong? I don't have to. It's to remind them again, they don't have to look for revenge. They don't have to. You have the choice. And I think that choice, that free will, is giving young people great encouragement. So I believe in the future. I know we have a wonderful future. Just at the moment with the world, we need to sort it out a bit. But we'll get there. There's too many, how would I say, good people in the world, and everyone is good. Even the person you might condemn and think is bad, there is goodness, because there's one thing to remember, and that is they have a soul, that spark of light of God, and they have a guardian angel. So you have to love them, no matter what they do.
I've heard you also talk about the guardian angels, but we also have the generals, which are the archangels. I've been connecting with Archangel Michael for a long time. That's one of the main, guides that I go to, and I ask for protection. You've said that his mission, Archangel Michael's mission, is to help us grow spiritually and also intertwine that spirituality into our human life. I would love to speak upon the insights you've gathered from Archangel Michael in the intertwinement process.
Well, I have been, what would you say, even as a child, I was being told all about that, the intertwining of the human self and the soul. It's, we have a soul, but our soul is here and the human self is here. And it's the human self that has, in a sense, pushed away the spiritual side of us. But now we're looking for it back, and as it gets closer, that intertwining, it's like plaiting the human body and the soul. That is where a time will come when you won't grow old, you won't die, you won't get sick, you will, in a sense, do all the incredible things that you think are impossible now. And in a sense, you can't even imagine what is possible. It's like, sometimes I just say to people, it's like where everyone will be able to see their guardian angel. A mother and father will see the guardian angels of their children. And just let's say mom and dad have to go outside to do something, and they turn around to the children's guardian angel and they say, "We'll be back in a few minutes. Keep an eye on my child." They have free babysitters. That's what I would say. And isn't that incredible? That is the intertwining. It's something that, how would I say, the soul becoming closer to the human being, we allowing our soul to intertwine with ourselves, our human selves. And like, to me, all of you should be able to see through the eyes of your soul and your human eyes. I can't understand why you can't see what I can see, why you can't hear what I can hear. I can't understand why you can't see the guardian angel or any angel or even the soul of a loved one physically like you see a human being. To me, that part is confusing.
Is it possible for an angel to disguise themselves in a human body and be there physically around us?
Yes, I love that. It's not that it disguises itself in a human body, it is that it gives such a human appearance. And Archangel Michael often does that. And you would often hear of people who were in extreme circumstances, some kind of an accident, something had happened. You've often heard of it, mountain climbers where they have fallen and they're lying there and they tell a story. Well, where's the man that has been sitting here with me all the time, or the woman? And the rescue team say, "We're the first on the scene. There was nobody here." That was an angel, or it was the person's guardian angel, making itself so human in appearance that the human being couldn't extinguish. But imagine if the angel gave an angel appearance, maybe it would be too much of a shock for the person that was hurt. And they would always give encouragement to fight, to stay alive. You have something to live for.
Do angels ever play Cupid when it comes to helping us meet the right people in our life?
Yes, and I would say to everyone, ask for the Rosemantic. That's what I call them, the Rosemantic angels. And I always love the way they have this, lasso that is so fine, like gold or silver. It's so fine. Sometimes seeing them lassoing two people and trying to bring them together. But again, angels will never overstep free will. Never. And so many times we turn away love, rosemantic love, because we kind of, how would I say, our expectations are so high. And we forget that No one is perfect. Everyone has baggage of some kind, you know, and it's not about baggage, it's about loving someone regardless and caring for them. So if you're looking for love in your life, romantic love of any kind, I'm calling in the rosemantic angels for you to help you. But again, it's your choice, it's your free will. And many a time I would meet people who would say they only want their soulmate. That's all. And they would turn love away. They'd even turn away the person they were meant to join together with. They turned them away because they would say they didn't feel that 99.9%, 100% of a connection. There was lacking a little something. And I would say to people, my husband Joe wasn't my soulmate because my soulmate hasn't been born into the world. And you have to remember that your soulmate may not be here. And if your soulmate is here, it could be a man or a woman of 100 somewhere in the world. You know, your soulmate doesn't mean that you will marry them, you know, that they will come into the human world at the same time your soul came. So I hope that helps. So I'm asking for the rosemantic angels. Do you need them?
Someone out there needs them. We all need them. As you said, we all are here to feel and receive love and give love. And I'm really curious there, how does an angel know when to tie those lassos or that golden thread between two people? Was that something that was pre-contracted before we incarnated?
I have never asked God that question as clear as you have asked it there. I just see it. It's like, and sometimes when I see the rosemantic angels have even lassoed someone or have, you know, even put it around their wrists, sometimes the angels, those rosemantic angels, would tell me that one of them is turning away from rosemantic love because in their eyes, the person is not perfect enough. Their expectations are too high. But I love the way I see the rosemantic angels doing everything possible to give them a chance. And you have to give yourself a chance on love. Love is full of, you learn about rosemantic love. And love is love, by the way. It's all the one. But seeing the rosemantic angels helping a couple to give themselves a chance, sometimes they would tell me it works, but not always. You know, they have told me many stories where, you know, even someone, you know, is elderly now and they're still waiting for that rosemantic love. And I would be told it stood in front of them and they turned it away.
That's
you
hard to
know,
hear.
So love is precious. You should always give yourself a chance. Always give yourself a chance. Don't turn it away straight away. Just see. Okay.
Yeah. Today is a very interesting day, by the way, because we're recording this on the day that a new president was elected in the United States. This show is not political in any way, shape, or form, but I have seen some of your previous lectures where you talked about seeing the American gathering angels and how every nation also has an angel. What do you believe this angel in America, because a lot of our audience is coming from there, is holding right now for that nation right now in this particular day?
Well, I would say the angel of the nation of America is holding hope. You have to remember whoever the American people voted for and has elected is their president now, regardless of what one might think of that person. And we have to pray and ask for hope for that person, that that president will make as little mistakes as possible, but will make good ones, you know, in that whatever is to happen. And I love the way the American people have been gathered from all over the world by the American gathering angels. And there was already Americans in America, and that was the native Indian. You're all Americans. And America is the gateway, to the future, to that incredible future I have seen. And I've been shown how Americans become intertwined. It's like they step out through the gate to the rest of the world, and bring everything forward. And I just love the way, Americans have been gathered from all over the world. And it's like it's just something that Americans need to recognize themselves. You're all Americans. You're not separate groups. You're one nation. But at the moment, you are inclined to put yourselves as separate groups. But you're all Americans, and you're incredible. And God has gathered you from all over the world, and still is today. The American gathering angels are still working. So you have a president now, and I don't know when they get voted in.
Today.
Today, is it today?
Well, it was chosen today, yeah.
So in my prayers, I pray for that president that he will be the best he possibly can be, and even better. From any president of any country, any leader, we want to see good. And we want to see good for the people of that country, of that nation. But then again, we want to see good from that president of the people of the world as well. Because we are one nation. We are all human beings. And that's what I love about America. You have come from everywhere. Like, that's incredible. And I know in Ireland, hundreds and thousands of people emigrated from Ireland to America. They're no longer Irish. They are American. And I keep saying this, you're American, and well done.
Yeah. And when we're talking about the guardian angels as well individually, how are these assigned to us?
I know I have written a little bit about that in, I don't know which book it's in, but it's like you meet your guardian angel in the Sea of Souls. Your guardian angel has been appointed to you, and it can only be your guardian angel for eternity, forever. It can never be anyone else's guardian angel, ever. It's the guardian angel of your soul, that spark of light of God. Okay?
Have you seen the Sea of Souls?
Yes, and that's the first time someone has asked me that. But I won't say any more. I'll try and write a little bit about it, a little bit more.
Beautiful, yeah. And for those that are feeling called to explore that for themselves, if this is a sea where all the souls are emerging from, we all have access to seeing that. And you've said that God told you that many are called, few are chosen, and very few of these few chosen say yes. What would you say to inspire people to say yes more to the calling?
I would say, try and say yes and be better. Try and say yes and be better. And again, God has shown me that so many times through my life. Even when we had no food for the table, or we were freezing cold, God would call on others, and they would say no, they wouldn't help. And I suppose, there's so much I could share with you, but I love God's words. And he has proven that to me so many times. When someone was meant to help, they didn't. you know, and it's just like the sanctuary as well. Again, that's an incredible miracle that has happened. But again, the people that in the world that have helped there said yes. They were called and they said yes. And that blows my mind away. I'm human as well, so I'd be in shock. And I'd be in shock at the couple from America, that, went in search of us because of the book Angels in My Hair. It done something good for their family. And when they eventually found us, they came here where I am now to the farmhouse, and they learned more about us and, other things that I do. And they just said, how can we help, Lorna? Oh, they kind of suddenly said, we're going to build on 2-3 rooms onto your house so people can come. And they kept saying to me, Lorna, are you sure it's here in Thomastown in Ireland? And I said, yes, it's here. And even I was convinced that it was this old farmhouse, but they got turned down on planning permission. And then the story, I'll skip the story again and go back to the past when my husband Joe was alive. We were coming to a family down here to visit. And one time we just passed this gate with 2 pillars, and Archangel Michael was standing there. And, Archangel Michael, everything slowed down in slow motion, like as if time stopped, the air, everything had changed. And he just said, Lorna, you will live here one day. And Joe was already sick. And I thought Archangel Michael, that was a silly thing for him to say, because you could see this little roof, over the wall. And I just said, no, go away. But then the years passed, and, sometimes I would see angels standing in the same place as Archangel Michael. And then one day, after Joe had died, and I was down here in the farmhouse. Again, that's another story, another miracle. My son sends me a clip, I think you call them a clip, and just said for me to click on it. And what do you think the first thing I saw? The 2 pillars and the gate. I was blown away. I said, why are you showing me this? I was in a state of shock. And it went down a dusty road. Not exactly a road, clay and everything like that. And as soon as the house started to come, that I could start to see it, I knew I had been there before, because God had me there before. So I'm skipping a lot of the story. And my son, so I was in shock, and he just said, Mom, I'm going to send this to the 2 people that were over here, the husband and wife. And he sent the clip. And they came back seemingly straight away and said, that's it, we're buying it. I don't have money. They bought it, and then so many other people. But the wonderful thing about the sanctuary, Kilfane, the word Kilfane, translated to English, means sacred place. God chose it, not me, and just when God said, it'll be here in 300 years' time and more. Isn't that great hope for the future? We can do it. I know we can. And I just love God's words, Many are called, few are chosen, and very few of those few chosen say yes. And they said yes, because it's not mine, it's for the world, So to me, God unfolds so many miracles all of the time for each and every one of us. But when a miracle happens for you, it's not just for you, it's for others as well. Your miracle, what happens for you, affects the world. That positiveness, that hope, that compassion, that love, that peace in one's heart. You can't buy them things, they're not for sale.
Beautiful story. What's coming in for me is that we've been so focused on creating miracles and not realizing that we are the miracle itself. And just by you walking in your love, in all of your gifts, then places like these that are sacred to the world are able to show themselves to you. This is the sanctuary that you hold in Ireland. I am definitely going to go visit you. We end every show with a segment called The Final Trio, little questions at the end. We'll send people to your website. We'll send people to all the places where they can connect with you. Is there anything, though, on your heart that you would like to share for people so they can go deeper with your work?
I suppose, the words that we have just said, many are called, few are chosen, and very few of those few that are chosen say yes. So I have been giving out to God because I've been saying to God, well, we need a few more like the couple that did that, in a bigger way, because I would love everyone to come and not to have to worry or think about. And I suppose it's because I have been so poor. You didn't eat food, you kept it for your children. Because I'd tell God I would love, that people wouldn't have to pay to come. Right, we might have a real long list, you know. So, but yet I know so much is to happen there. So again, I'm always asking, saying those words back to God all of the time. But yet, when I'm doing the workshops, people are opening up spiritually. They are changing. The miracle for them is already happening in that way. And they're starting to see and to feel and connect back to nature. I can't describe. It's like when people come in through the gates, they will say to you, we have left the world behind. Even though they know it's a short distance up to the road, but it's like as if the world doesn't exist. I think that's because they feel so much love and peace, and they're more connected regardless of their religion or their beliefs. People of all religions and all beliefs come. And I just love that. I just want everyone to wake up and realize you're not just a human being, you're a spiritual being, and we can make this world like a little glimpse of heaven.
I'll sign up to that. We're doing that in this conversation, also infusing the timeline with love and positivity, the messages that are coming through you. I wanted to ask you for the final trio. The first two questions are personalized to you, and the last one we ask at the end of every show. The first one I had for you is, what is the greatest lesson that your own guardian angel has taught you?
The greatest lesson. I suppose you have to remember, for me, this is all normal. So it's not what's the greatest lesson my guardian angel has taught me. This is normal for me. So it's only when you ask a question that I realize you don't know the answer, or it's something that mankind hasn't realized or mankind doesn't know. So I can't answer that question in the way you would love it, because it's normal. My life has been, the angels have always been there, and I've seen them physically since the moment I opened my eyes. as an infant. I didn't know they were angels now, but I soon learned, and they were always telling me to keep it a secret. And my guardian angel, I'm not allowed to tell anyone who's my guardian angel or give my guardian angel's name. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah, beautiful. When was the most important time in your life where you said yes to God?
I have always been saying no. I suppose the time after my husband Joe died, I had to say yes. It was a time in a sense when I knew in my heart and soul, that everything that God and Archangel Michael was saying and all of the angels, I suppose on a personal level, that even though Joe had seen some, and discovered some, I always knew that he wouldn't be able to cope. It would be too much for him. And I always ask God, that I always wanted him to hold on to his dignity, because to me that was so important. And I suppose I made a deal with God in one sense. A lot of us might think you can't. But, when his time would come, that God would take him peacefully and that he would never lose his dignity. And as soon as that happened, I did say yes. And then the miracles started to unfold. Life started to change in so many different ways, but not just for me, for my children as well. And now from the time Angels in My Hair came out, for the world, things have changed spiritually. People of all religions and faiths are, which I love, because sometimes I might be giving a talk somewhere and there wouldn't be one Catholic in it. They'd be a mixture of all different other faiths. And that is beautiful, because again, we have to not be judging each other or not afraid of each other because one's own beliefs. We have to welcome each other. I just love that. So I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It does. A little follow up there is, what does it mean for one to keep their dignity?
Well, for me it is, how would I say, as time got closer to when God was going to take Joe home, was, he wouldn't go out. It was in a sense that if we went out when it was dark just for a little walk, he would hold on to me, because if you had seen him walking, you might have thought he was drunk. And to Joe and to myself, if you thought that, then that was Joe losing his dignity, because you were believing negatively of him. You were judging, and you didn't know that he was sick, that he was dying. And I suppose that can happen in so many ways. Somebody that has, a disability, they lose their dignity because people treat them differently, and that shouldn't be so. I would always remind people, I have a disability. I'm severely dyslexic.
And you've written 7 books.
Exactly. I didn't go to college or university. Don't ask me to pick up a pen and write a whole load of things. It's an incredible gift that you have, and you don't appreciate it.
That right there is such a beautiful message that I want everyone to keep into their hearts, that we never know what someone is going through. And we are the first to judge a book by its cover. And I feel like the highest timeline for humanity starts with judgment. We started off the conversation there, dissolving all judgments, knowing that we are all in some way, shape, or form, we're all the same. The soul is universal. That's why you have people from different religions coming to you, because the soul, you're talking about the soul. That is a message that transcends any religion. So I just wanted to highlight that because that gave me full body chills. And now I'll ask you the final question. We call it the time capsule question. It requires us to travel a little bit out into the future, around 15 to 20 years down the line. I chose out those timeframes because I believe that's going to be a time when the young generations of today are going to be stepping into leadership positions around the world. And just like any great leader that was birthed into the world, they've had great mentors, great resources, great knowledge from their teachers, great tools as well. And you are given the opportunity to leave behind a time capsule for them. And when these leaders would open that time capsule, they'll be then equipped with all the necessary teachings, tools, or resources that they would need to be the best leaders into the future era, the golden age that we're all co-creating. What would you leave behind for the next generation of leaders?
What would I leave? What a big question. I would give them everything. I'd give them everything. And I think the most important thing are those gifts that we are looking for, that you can't buy. And those gifts is what keeps our humanity. The joining together of our soul, that intertwining with the human being. I believe in you. So I'm saying that to the future, to the young people of the future, to the next generation and the next generation and generations to come. I believe in you.
Thank you for seeing the young generations. Did we mention what were those gifts that don't need any money to buy?
Yes, it's love, it's compassion, it's hope, it's dignity, it's forgiveness and forgiving oneself. It's all those gifts that we look for every day. It's rosemantic love. It's love in that sense. It's all that compassion and hope and that peace. Someone to care for us, someone to show love. And all of those boil back to the one word, love and hope. And I suppose sometimes humanity tries to destroy love and hope. But humanity will never succeed at that. That I know. Love and hope will always be the strongest. And because of love and hope, we will have peace. We will have this incredible world. I'd love to tell you all about it, but I'm not allowed. Because mankind has to go down that road,
We're not ready yet.
Go down those stepping stones. Mankind has to do that yourself. But I will leave you everything, and I believe in you.
Such a beautiful message, Lorna. I just see a vision of you with that golden thread, just weaving together messages of love and hope. And it's been such an honor to hold space for you, to allow all of this wisdom to come through. And I look forward to seeing you at the sanctuary. I look forward to connecting with you, going to the fairyland of Ireland. I'm really excited. So thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go now and cook my dinner.
Beautiful. Bon appetit.
God bless. Bye-bye.